Trail Talk. We're going to continue our discussion about strong biblical leadership, but we're going to be talking about a topic that many of us consider to be nothing more than a necessary evil. Tell me the truth. Do you like attending meetings? You know, a lot of people don't like going to meetings, but I think it's because the meetings they've been to in the past are not well run or well executed. Maybe they start late, they finish late, nothing really is accomplished, and the agenda is ignored. I don't like meetings like that, and you probably don't either. On the other hand, because most of us are working with women's ministries that are made up of teams and function as teams, we have got to learn how to plan and execute effective meetings. If I plan and execute effective meetings, here's what happens. First of all, actual work takes place. We get some things done. Secondly, my ladies know what to expect next time. They begin to expect a pattern of effective meetings. Third, they leave knowing what they're supposed to do and ready to do it. And fourth, they leave enthusiastic about the group, about our team's effort, and about the work that we're trying to accomplish. Morale stays high. Boy, those are important things. So how am I going to go about planning effective meetings where we really get the work done? Well, here are three elements of what I consider to be an effective meeting. First of all, it has strong boundaries that are abided by. Secondly, it's a meeting where necessary, important work is accomplished enthusiastically. And third, it's a meeting with strong, satisfying, and motivating finish. So from start to finish, we want to plan effective meetings. All right, so how are we going to set some necessary boundaries and then stay within them? Because that's really important to an effective meeting. Well, first of all, one of those things that we all know, but so few of us actually practice, that is to have an established start time and finish time and abide by it like glue. Ladies, it's up to me and it's up to you. I may have people who straggle in late, but it's up to me to start that meeting on time. And when my women discover that I start meetings on time, then they'll start showing up on time. Another way to have some strong boundaries in place for that meeting is to have an agenda. I know it may seem a little out-fashioned or old-fashioned or out of date, but you know what? Agenda is really necessary for keeping us on target. And I think it's a great idea to send that agenda out before the meeting, several days before the meeting. Just zip it over by email so that everyone on your team knows where we're going in the meeting and nothing's a surprise to them. Another thing that we can do to set the boundaries of our meeting is state the purpose of the meeting. State it in communication before the meeting and state it again at the meeting. And make sure that purpose stays before us at all times so that we're actually on task. It's also a good idea to begin with prayer. I mean, you know, we in ministry like to begin things in prayer, and that's a good practice. But in order to stay within those boundaries and set those boundaries of that meeting, I suggest that you start with a focused prayer. And by that I mean, it's great to pray about everything under the sun, but at that time and for that meeting, for that purpose, I suggest we simply pray for God's guidance and leadership, that He would keep the morale up, He'd help us to work as a team. Keep your prayer focused on that meeting. All right, so we've got the boundaries in place, and now we want to accomplish some work at the meeting. So how do we do that? Because I want my meeting to be productive. Well, here are several things that we could do. First of all, we need to review the minutes from the last meeting. Someone needs to have taken notes, and we need to review those minutes so we can remember, kind of get back into context, remember where we left off, and know what happened at the last meeting. Secondly, we need to review any events, anything that's taken place outside of the meetings that might affect or have an impact on this meeting since the last one. In other words, so just once again, kind of getting the context of the meeting. Third, we need to get a report from everybody on our team. And I suggest that you get your team members in the practice of having to give a concise and yet thorough report, just giving us the necessary details of what's gone on with them since the last meeting, what things they've accomplished, who they talked to, did they finish their responsibilities, you know, what they need to report back at the meeting. Once again, that's going to require some boundaries. It's going to require you helping them stay on task and not start chasing rabbits. So just pull them back to the purpose of the meeting when you need to. Another thing, of course, we're going to do is stay on that agenda. We planned the agenda out. Hopefully when you planned out your agenda, you thought about the things that need to be discussed and the flow of the meeting, the flow that you want the meeting to take. All right, so you planned it out. Now work that plan. Stay on the agenda. Use the agenda to protect the integrity of the meeting. When we start getting off on rabbit trails, we just need to say, oh, you know what, ladies, we are off task. We need to get back to our agenda. And also remember that purpose statement that we gave the meeting and get the meeting back to that purpose statement. I also suggest that you have someone take notes. It could be yourself or it could be someone else on your team, someone who's good and thorough with things like that. The main things they need to have in the notes are any major decisions that are made, assignments that are made, and who those assignments are made to. Those sorts of things. So just the may not have to discuss everything that was discussed, or we talked about this but then we didn't go that direction. No need to go there. Just the decisions that were made and the assignments that were made. And so next, we also want to though model high energy and enthusiasm as the leader. Once again, strong biblical leadership demands that we be strong and courageous even in our meetings. So we need to maintain the level of enthusiasm and positiveness that we want our team members to also get. All right, so we're getting the work done. Now, how do we bring it to a strong finish? Because you know what I found is that you could have a great meeting and talk about super things and have some great ideas generated, but if you don't have a strong finish, then nothing happens between this meeting and the next one. And I know that your goal, like mine, is to delegate and send women out and get those jobs accomplished before you come back together for the next meeting. So how do you do that? Well, here are some ideas for a strong, enthusiastic, motivating finish. First of all, determine the date of the next meeting. Don't let those gals out of your sight before you've set the time, the date, and the place of your next meeting. Get those calendars out and make that decision together. Secondly, you need to review all the assignments that were made. Go after everybody's done, you're done with the bulk of the meeting, go back and review who is going to be doing what. Now here's some suggestions for those assignments. First of all, give every assignment a strong action verb. In other words, you might say, now Judy is going to be enlisting 12 women to volunteer as greeters at our Christmas fellowship. And she's going to train those leaders or those greeters for that event. Okay, so I'm giving her the verbs enlist and train. So Judy knows exactly what she's supposed to do. Now, after I've given her the verbs for her assignment, I also want to let her know what that's going to look like when it's completed. So for it to be completed, she will have 12 people enlisted and trained. That's what completion looks like. I'm not telling Judy to do something ambiguous like go think about or go consider or go come up with 12 women. You know, I want to give her specific tasks so that she knows what it looks like to do it and she knows what it looks like to accomplish it. I also want to give her a due date. So by November 14th, Judy will enlist and train 12 volunteers to be greeters at our Christmas fellowship. And she will report back to me on that date in November. Okay, one more thing. When we're assigning those tasks, when we're reviewing them, make sure that you've assigned every task to just one person. You know how we gals are. We like to share everything, even share responsibilities. Somehow I think we think it's easier if I don't have to do it alone. So often I have women who want to share responsibilities, like together they want to plan the craft or together they want to do the decorations. Well, that's fine, but I still need to name one person who's responsible, who's the buck stops here kind of gal, and who will get back to me on that due date. So make sure you assign those assignments and review all those before when you're finishing your meeting. Another thing to do is to finish on time, of course. And then we want to finish with a closing prayer. And once again, you've got it. We need to keep that closing prayer focused on the things that we've talked about in the meeting and the tasks that we've now assigned ourselves to go out and do. And then finally, send a copy of those notes or those minutes that you had someone taking to everyone who was in attendance and everyone who was absent from the meeting, so that when you come together for your next meeting, and everyone will be there because that meeting went so well, everybody will be on the same page. Ladies, that is how we plan and execute a meeting that has proper, strong boundaries, where work actually takes place, and we finish strong and enthusiastically so that we're motivated to get out there and get the job done. Well, that's it for today's Trail Talk, but I sure do hope our paths cross again real soon.